Hello and Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome back to a brand new episode of DSG Talks. I hope everyone is doing well and everyone is coping up with the circumstances going on in the country. I hope everyone is safe out there. So, as promised, we're back with another episode. And just like many season ke start mein, I talked about that this season we are bringing all the new ideas. And we did an episode earlier as well with one of our clients to bring their perspective to you. Instead, सब experts बैठ के on the topic बात करें, different solar के point of view में बात किया जाए. बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम अपने clients से उनका opinion पूछें, उनका experience पूछें, so that we can have the learning outcomes from that as well. So today I have with myself a very prestigious client of mine, Mr. Rai Shaharyar Bhatti from DFL, Diamond Fabrics Ltd, a brand of Sapphire Group, and I'm very honored that you have finally given us the time for this interview. So thank you so much for taking out time, and thank you so much for choosing DSG Energy as well. So, sir, we'll begin into the conversation and just I'm so we started this initiative back in 2020. Right. And the idea was to bring to people the renewable energy perspective of Pakistan, since it's a topic very less discussed. So, Istafa, we're talking to our clients, we're talking about their perspectives. So, since you are one of our industrial clients and recently DFL has gone solar with us with a 4.2 megawatt system, and so हमने सोचा कि आपसे इस बारे में बात की जाए. So, without any delay, we'll hop into the session. लेकिन पहले मैं पूछूंगी, tell us something about yourself, tell us something about DFL.
Okay, I'm a mechanical engineer by profession, so not much with the electrical, but you can say that this is how the engineers end up. When you move up, then at the end of the day, you have to look after everything. So, so the engineering in the whole, as a whole, stays there, but it doesn't remain like mechanical, electrical, or civil or anything. So you have to look after everything at the end of the day, as you progress further in the career. So, talking about Diamond Fabrics Ltd, we are a vertically integrated unit, and we have spinning, then we have a weaving unit, then we have dyeing unit, denim, and then we have our apparel unit, in-house apparel fabrication. Yeah. So, overall, we have a very big structure. I mean, you usually see that the factories, they have different units, but we have all the units combined under one foundry. So, considering that we have a very big install load for power, we have a very big install load for steam. Almost every utility is giant. So, I usually say that these utilities are itself, a major chunk of this factory at this moment. So, definitely it brings a lot of challenges, because whenever you have one kind of factory in the same premise, it is very simple. For example, if you have a spinning unit, it is very simple that the spinning is continuously running at a very fixed load. When you talk about weaving, it's the same case. You have more power consumers and less other utilities are very low. But when you talk about dyeing, like denim and apparel, they are big time users of steam, electricity, as well as air. So it's a mix for these two units. So considering us, we have all these at one place, so it becomes quite challenging for us at times to manage the power throughout these facilities, because you don't know which plant is starting up their compressor, which plant is not starting up, which plant is starting up any machine which uses a very heavy load. If a boiler is going to start up, it has a very heavy motors attached to it. So more or less, it's very complicated in terms of power management. So I'll just come to the solar side specifically, because this is why we are here to discuss
definitely. So you said that it's kind of a very diverse portfolio that you have at DFL. Definitely that comes with lots of, as you mentioned, power requirements. So I believe that ज़्यादातर जब भी हम industrial solutions देखते हैं, I've seen so many in my career, so like energy mix होता है. So if you can tell something about your energy mix, what sort is that?
Previously, currently, we have been, before solar, we were solely running on natural gas engines. We have Jenbacher engines, so we have a total of 15.5 megawatt powerhouse, which solely used to run on gas in case of power outages, or sometimes some situations where the gas was not available or the pressures were low. We usually run major load on WAPDA, and then we sink some load on the diesel gensets. Like the critical loads like denim and apparel, we usually put them on the diesel genset. So the target is that we have to supply these two units. As I said previously, that every unit has its unique requirement.
Definitely.
So these two units are very, very critical for us, because if you have a power outage, so the whole process has to be repeated, and it's a big loss to the company.
Okay.
We do get a loss at the spinning and weaving side as well, but the amount of loss that we get in those two plants is not that high as we get in denim and apparel. Apparel is a finished garment; it can destroy the whole garment, not whichever is in the washers and all that which are being processed, they get damaged.
Definitely.
But for denim side, you are dying, and you just imagine that you dip the fabric for a bit longer period, and the shade is changed.
That's more like a tie and dye then.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to reprocess it. Okay. So it's very critical, very critical when you are running these two plants, and we have to manage the power at all times. So we usually shift the load of these two on diesel if there is outage, and shift rest of all the loads on Vapda.
Okay.
So please.
Yeah. So I see that it's a mix of everything, and definitely power is important for that. And I think the similar goes for many other industries that we see in Pakistan. So if we see the ongoing circumstances, the costs for the businesses, for the industries, they're already very high. It's not a thing to hope. I'm very sorry to say that, but we can see that it's going to deplete in the coming few days. Exactly. We are ongoing seeing these circumstances that it's going to take some while for the economy to stabilize. Exactly. So how do you see the industries working out in such an economy? What do you think should be the way forward? How you guys plan on coping up?
Okay, considering the current situation, you are very right. The prices are going up, and suddenly the gas prices, they have also gone up.
Definitely, everything.
The zero rated, what we were taking the benefit, the exporters, because we are an export oriented unit. So that $9 gas, it's also gone. So everything is suddenly the world has changed for us on, I would say, 1st of May.
1st of May, yeah.
So considering
for everyone, for most of the Pakistanis.
Exactly. So when the world changed for us, we had no other choice, but we had to run. Definitely we have to pay the price. So yes, solar. Solar is like a very minimum, I would say, very little portion of our power requirement. I'll just give you a brief overview. What is our power requirement? We have an average of around 11 megawatt load per hour.
Per hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
So solar is 4.2 megawatt, all of it that we have on our roofs. So when I say 11,
what's its generation so far?
For the solar?
For the solar.
Yeah. Okay. We have received a peak of, I think, around 25 megawatt per day maximum.
Okay.
So if I make it, let's consider it's 10 megawatt per hour that we are consuming. So it's 240 megawatt in a day. So if the solar generates 24 megawatt, so you are just generating 10% of
it's just
what you are
a
consuming.
Of it.
Yeah. So it's very little amount what we are producing. So the reason, this is the very major reason that solar is definitely a good cost saving, but it's not a replacement. It is yet not a replacement.
Yeah.
If I want to replace my load, considering 10 megawatt.
10 megawatt, yeah.
So 4.2 is not going to, net off 10 megawatt definitely. And if I add up now, that there is a very tricky thing between syncing solar with your existing system. Like solar has ups and downs. So if anyone says that no, solar goes very smooth, believe me, it doesn't go smooth. So we have seen situations where solar will have got a dip of in 4.2 megawatt, they have got a dip of around 1.5 megawatt. So considering that amount of dip, what we are doing right now is that we are running engines in we have to keep a free board on the engines all the time. Yeah. Like previously we used to run engines that are on 8 megawatt, maybe 1 megawatt engines. We have 8 1 megawatt engines. So we were running them at around 750 to 800. And our 2.5 megawatt, we have 3 2.5 megawatt engines. So 3 2.5 and 8 1 megawatt engines. Okay. They total up to 15.5 megawatt. So 2.5 megawatt engines, we were running at around 1.8 1.9 megawatt. So we always had free board on all the engines. So what happened is that whenever there was a jerk or when there was a dip from the solar side, all these engines they take up the load. So we always have to pay a price. And when you are running engines with free board, the efficiency of the engines is compromised. But that efficiency compromise is not that big that the savings that you are generating from solar, they net it off. Solar is definitely beneficial overall. So that is the reason we actually installed that.
Okay.
So considering this whole scenario, solar is, yes, it is a good and cost saving initiative, but the amount of space that it takes,
yes,
so that is also huge. But fortunately, textiles, they have very big roofs, so all the textiles, they have big roofs. If you go and see them,
definitely, if there's a big facility, so
exactly.
in most of the cases they have the space for that as well, and the way forward should be that you should utilize that space if you
exactly have. So I mean, considering all these factors, yes, solar is the way forward, no doubt in that. But now we need to consider that how much solar we need to install.
Exactly.
So when you are choosing that, you have to be very careful, because when we started, we wanted to install, because we had a space availability of around 8 megawatt. So we wanted to put 8 megawatt there. But then we suddenly realized that, you guys came in and you told us, no, you cannot install 8 megawatt. We're syncing with the engines. So because the fears were there, and at that time DSG were doing some projects, but a lot of data was not available to justify that what would happen if you put more solar load. So we went as the way DSG told us. So we installed 4.2 megawatt, and we understand that why we should not put too much solar. Because if you put too much solar, and when the solar achieves the peak, the engines they automatically slow down.
Exactly.
And they slow down to a level that they become inefficient.
Good.
So too much solar actually goes over and above your freeboard. So this is a very tricky thing that you need to understand.
You need to have the right consultation for the fact, as we promote solar, so we always talk about that you need to get the maximum out of it. But considering very big systems, you always need to understand that the right energy mix is the way to go. You need to do that working of what you are balancing out with what, and how much is your exactly requirement and how much you should go for it. Because by the end of the day, our grids in Pakistan, they're also having a limited capacity for that. So that needs to be considered as well. So very well explained, sir, that how the solar can be done, how it's you need to have the right balance. But if I see, as you said, that no matter what, it is the way forward, since considering Pakistan's reserves, considering the fossil fuels, and considering the environment as well, it's something that needs to be implemented in the country. As we have too much potential, it's like we can switch 95, we've done only 5. Government also has plans for that. But if we see at the future, if you see in the next coming 5 years, where do you see solar energy going, and why do you think, what are the limitations in going up in maximizing the output of solar in Pakistan?
Okay, the only limitation that I see for now, I'll answer this point first, is the storage of solar. Right now we do not have, we do have some few options available in the market, but not those kind of options that they can be utilized at large, or they are not very cost effective. So this is the first thing, that why solar, this is the biggest challenge that I see for the solar at this moment. So first, if something goes, someone introduces some company, because people are researching on it and they're working on it. So there are a lot of things that are evolving, like hydrogen is there. So if you link solar with hydrogen, so solar is instantaneous production. So solar is not a continuous production. So we need to think that how we can use solar to produce a secondary power generation source that can be stored.
Okay.
Or we could store solar to something that could, hold for a longer period of time. So I'll give you an example. For example, people are working on hydrogen. So what they do is that they use solar energy, do electrolysis, and they generate hydrogen and oxygen. They split them up and they store them separately. And hydrogen is a fuel, so you can burn it anytime. So this is one way. This DSG could in future look into this perspective.
Definitely.
So it's a very interesting topic, and this is what we need to focus on.
I think moving forward, that's the way, because solar, the biggest limitation that solar has, that it's going to be in the day. So you definitely need to work out that way for consuming its electricity, for storing it.
You need to store it. So storing it in a battery. I don't think it is very a feasible method, because when you're storing in a battery, the efficiency losses are too much.
Exactly.
But if you are using it to break water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen and storing them, you can use it anytime. It's just like a gas cylinder.
In the batteries option, there's always that cost addition, there's replacement addition. There's just so much on that part. So what if these are all the economical benefits of that, but we do know, I have researched enough on DFL that you are one of those companies who take sustainability very seriously. I've seen the cute whale that you guys have. And so that's like a very good concept that we need to take forward. As hum log currently dekh rahe hain ki it's one of those June in which we can actually survive without AC. Hardly now, but we have seen such a climate change being evident. So how is DFL putting sustainability in its vision moving forward? How renewable energy is being part of that? Okay, so our first target is reduction of heat that we are dissipating to the environment. So we have taken a lot of initiatives. I can just count them on my fingers. I mean, first initiative was we recovered the condensate. Second initiative was that we recovered hot water from engine exhaust. Like engine exhaust usually is sent out at 150 degrees. So we actually reduced it down to 65 degrees. And we are just sending out 65 degrees. So the remaining, the hot water that we generate from that engine exhaust, we are sending it to our process. So we are actually reducing the steam consumption in our process through using that hot water. And then we have put up a wastewater treatment plant. I mean, it is already there. So we back in 2020 we enhanced it to 300 cubic meter. Good. So again, the purpose was to sustain the environment. And other than that, we have done a few water saving projects. So overall, our focus, I mean, even if a new equipment is being bought, we always focus that we buy something which is environment friendly and which sustains the environment. So even we were using coal previously, a lot of coal. I could tell you, really a lot of coal. Everywhere you see it was coal when I joined back in 2020. But right now we are using corn cob. So now everywhere you go, you'll see corn cob. Nice. So we have changed. We have burned corn cob. We use rice husk sometimes. We are using natural gas now for producing steam. Previously, we were only using coal. So overall, reducing the carbon footprints. So the target at DFL is that every possible day, I mean, we just ask people to give their ideas. Good. So we are always open to people's suggestions. I mean, it is not a one-man show. Definitely. So it's always people who tell you that this is I mean, something like if you see water is being drained, so you simply come and you tell. So because we have a culture that we promote people, we respect their opinion about things that if water is being drained, so they come up to us and they tell us this is being drained. So we always look to that if that water will be saved. Right? Good. So this is our mentality at this moment. We are promoting cooling towers installation instead of raw water coolings. So there was this few projects that we have done that water was being drained. They were just using it to cool the machines and then discharging it. So what we did, we installed cooling towers there. So we recovered that water. We reused that water in some other places. So a lot of initiatives are, even some are in pipeline, some are being installed. As we told you, we put the condensing conveyors which reduce the temperatures. So we are working on one project where we are actually planning to send the exhaust, because exhaust contains carbon dioxide. So we are planning to send exhaust to our ETP plant where it could be bubbled into the ETP plant so that you get nothing out of the exhaust. Exactly. So it's like all the carbon emissions are gone. These are all, I'm very appreciative of all these initiatives, as we hardly see people in Pakistan talking about that. Everyone is just capitalizing in current era, but this is something that really needs to be talked about. So I had a conversation with your sustainability team as well, and they also told me about their initiatives and all. But one point they mentioned which really struck me, and I wanted to share with the people watching as well, is that I think there are some requirements of the buying customers as well now regarding how much you're doing for the environment. So we have index that we have to follow, and there all the customers we have C&A, I mean Inditex is there, and Levi's is there. So all these customers, they demand water saving initiatives, they demand carbon emission reduction. So we are always one step ahead. So I mean we always focus that if someone gives us the target, we are always ahead of that. Good. So what we want is that, I mean, we don't take this as something that a vendor, a customer wants that from us. We see it as our social responsibility. Exactly. So we have to do it. I mean, this is something it's not something like if Levi's is telling us to do, we have to do it. If C&A is telling us to do, Inditex is telling, yes, I mean, it's something our business requires. But what I see
as a person and as a company at DFL, how we see it as our responsibility.
Exactly.
And we always focus on. And yes, one thing that we have understood being in DFL is that the first priority is saving the environment, and the second priority is the cost, because definitely the cost. But what we have done is that sustainability, what we have learned, that when you are doing sustainability, the cost saving always follows.
Exactly.
For example,
it comes hands in
I'll tell you, solar.
Solar.
So, and I tell you, we're using biomass. Biomass is cheaper than coal.
Exactly.
Like rice husk, it is cheaper than coal.
Bilkul.
Then you are using natural gas. It was cheaper previously, but now it has become expensive. But again, it was cheaper at time. So it's not always. I mean, people need to understand that there is not always that sustainability is expensive. It is not expensive. It is just the way we look at it.
If you don't even go into the scientific way of that, it's just like the universe way of giving you back, because you're just saving the earth.
Yeah. So sometimes you feel that because it is something which it's out of the routine. If I put it in the right way, it is not in routine how you do it.
Exactly.
So if doing something out of routine does not mean that it is going to be expensive. I mean, it is not always like this. So I mean, we as human beings, we have a very strange perception that if this is something different, it might be expensive. No, it's not always expensive. So we just need to explore. We always used to think that biomass might be expensive, but when we started using, we realized no, it is not expensive.
Exactly.
It's cheaper. And then we had benefits out of it. Our boiler's health was improved. I mean, coal was destroying our boiler. But right now, we have run it for like almost 2+ years.
Exactly.
And,
you just need to research it well enough, and all the solutions are just right there. And even for the people who go solar for their houses, there's this general conception that we have to put up this much investment and all.
Exactly.
But if you just count your bills and you do this little research on that, so you're ultimately getting the cash back in like 4 years, 5 years. Aajkal jo bills ki prices are even before that. So you just need to think the solutions through instead of hovering over the fact that the prices are high, the economy is going down. So it's always a pleasure to talk. You always have a very detailed information of everything.
Thank you very much.
It really happens, and it's really good to have you here. So I'll ask just the last 2 questions. The first one is that we talked a bit about how DFL is going solar, how DFL is embracing sustainability, renewable energy. So considering your expertise, what would you recommend to other businesses or individuals or industries going solar and regarding their energy choices?
Okay, as everyone knows that the fuel prices, they are going up. So we don't see them coming down in any near future.
Definitely.
So what I'll suggest is that I mean, this might not be very supportive for DSG, but this is how we need to think now. I mean, we need to think for steam turbines, right? So we need to think for solar. Okay, solar, again, as I mentioned, until the storage comes, solar is not a immediate, I mean, it's not a continuous supply.
It's not like
so until it is not continuous supply, I mean, we need to survive. So if we need to survive, we need to go for steam turbines now. Because steam turbines, they can run with anything. They can run with local coal. They can run with biomasses. They can run with gas. They can run with HFO. They can run with anything. So considering the fuel mixes, steam turbine is the future for now. As I see the energy prices that are going up. So this is the first suggestion, that people should start working on the steam turbines.
Okay.
And second suggestion I would say is that just definitely first, I mean not the second, I mean first is solar and second is this.
Definitely.
But solar, we need to maximize solar installation. And now we need to start exploring on the hydrogen.
Yeah.
Because hydrogen is something, I mean, I would just say the world is not crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone is, okay, hydrogen is not one type.
Yeah.
There are like, I think 3 or 4 types of hydrogen. So there is green hydrogen, there is grey hydrogen, there is blue hydrogen. I mean, I'm sorry in case I have missed some colors, but there are like 3 or 4 types of hydrogen. So considering that every type of hydrogen generation, it might be feasible at some level. So we really need to focus on the energy mixes now. Because if we don't focus, like previously, it was very good that we were getting gas at a very subsidized rate, and we were just running our system.
Yeah.
And we were very happy. The engines were running and we were happy. But now it's not going to be like this. Now we really need to see that how we need to survive.
Definitely.
So to survive, you definitely need to come out of your comfort zone and you need to explore things.
Explore things, definitely. There's just lots of solutions out there. You just need to explore. I think the silver lining is that. Lastly, since there's always room for improvement, there's always something that you know, there's something we know. So lastly I'll ask, how has your experience been with DSG? Any pros, any cons, anything you'd like to mention?
Okay, the project has went quite smooth. I'll be very open on that. I mean, there have definitely, I mean, I have done a lot of projects so far. So that was not something, I mean, for me that considering, because in projects you do have some, lags and some leads as well. So there are timelines were a bit moved forward. Reason being, the material was not available, or your suppliers, they were not actually providing the material on time, or the material was not available. Or let's not say that it was their mistake, but say the material was not available or the material was faulty or something. So we did face that kind of issue, and but it was not something that I would say that it delayed our project big time. But at the end of the day, the result was good. I mean, we closed the project at a very good note, and the system is running. The best thing is that the system is running, because the fears that we had before we installed the solar, they were so big that I cannot tell you, because it was initiative that we were thinking of taking from quite some time, and then we closed it, and then we were very afraid that what would happen. I mean, what would happen with our engines, how the solar would behave with the sync with engines, how should we sync it with Vapda and we just remove the engines. I mean, there were so many questions in the mind. So DSG tried to answer a lot of them, but what always Daniel sir told that let it start.
Let it start, yeah.
So it started and it works quite fine. I mean, every day I just open the app. So you guys have linked it with my home app. So I see my home solar and I see that solar, because both are from Huawei, so it's configured. So I see that on daily basis, and it's very encouraging for me that I'm thinking of installing another 3.7 megawatt into DFL power, and I think now we are confident enough that we can actually control that. Because previously we were a bit scared that how we are going to control how the power is going to come, how the solar is going to behave, how the engines are going to behave. Because we always were asking other powerhouses and other people that what happens. So now we know what happens, and we know the benefits, and we know how it can help our system and how we can save through that. So that's what I would say. Sum it up.
Perfect. So thank you so much. We're glad to be of service, and we're looking forward to more collaborations in the future as well. And we are always appreciative of the initiatives by DFL. So thank you so much, sir, for joining in, for your time, and it's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the people watching. I think the silver lining in current times is that there's always a solution out there. You just need to go out and explore it. So we'll be back in another episode very soon. Stay tuned. Allah Hafiz.